it's the Menopause Sisters show. This is our first show, so if you are not familiar with our current website or our Facebook page, we wanted to shoot a series of videos because we formed Menopause Sisters. We are really sisters. There's actually 8 girls in our family and, yes, wait for it, 5 brothers. So we came from a very big family, but several of the females in our family are actually medical practitioners. And so when I went into menopause, I went looking for something that could help me with my hot flashes. And lo and behold, there is nothing out there besides taking artificial hormone replacement therapy that doctors want to kind of shove down your throats. And so I actually invented the very first camisole with a cooling liner called Cool Cami. And so I went on this other search for other ways to help educate women around the issues of menopause, and decided, why don't I bring in my sisters that are actually have medical backgrounds that could help me with this. And over time, lo and behold, Menopause Sisters was born. So my name is Nancy. I'm the youngest of the Menopause Sisters. I'm just saying, okay. And so we're going to have a 3-part video series. So in this first series, we're just going to talk about, in general, what are the challenges that women are facing with menopause. And I want each of my sisters to kind of give you a background on what their take is, because we have a nice blend of everything that's non-evasive. We're big promoters of making sure that we're not going to getting a prescription for something to help you with your issues around menopause. So we're trying to find all... what was the term you used?
More natural.
More natural, yes, naturopathic, homeopathic ways of helping women at different stages of menopause. So I'm going to let Colleen introduce herself and kind of give her background.
Okay, so I'm Colleen, and I'm actually the oldest of the family and of the sisters. And I am a nurse, and several years ago, I just was looking for different ways of treating people or dealing with issues. The medical system, which I still work in, just seems to have this toss a pill at you mentality and go away and let's hope it works. I started out with healing touch and learning how to be a healing touch practitioner, which is energy medicine and working with your energy field. And then I came upon aromatherapy. And the aromatherapy for many people is much easier to understand. It's more tangible, it's more hands-on, and that's dealing with the essential oils, the fine quality essential oils, and how those oils work on your body to help relieve pain, help soothe, help calm, and in the case of menopause, have estrogen-like effects, because menopause is related to a big decrease in estrogen and progesterone. And I'm finding out that there are specific oils that act as progesterone or estrogen on the body and help relieve a lot of those nagging irritants that women are dealing with in the years going through menopause. Laura?
She's done.
Okay. Oh, hi, everybody. My name is Laura, and I'm a nurse practitioner. I've worked in healthcare for over 20 years, and I've been a nurse practitioner for going on 8 years now. And one of the first things that I came to realize once I got into practice is I was seeing a lot of women that were really struggling with symptoms related to hormone imbalances, and in particular going into menopause, either before menopause, during menopause, and they really felt that the healthcare system, their providers did not really understand what they were going through and really didn't have any clear answers for them on how to deal with their symptoms. It was either they wanted to give them an antidepressant or they wanted to put them on synthetic hormone therapies, and they were very reluctant to do that due to the potential risk associated with that. That came out from the Women's Health Initiative study several years ago. There's been disputes about that since. So I thought, okay, I need to pay attention to this. I was already interested in natural and functional medicine, which is trying to get to the root cause instead of just treating symptoms. So the question is, why are my hormones out of balance? And what can I do to optimize hormone balance going into and during menopause? So from there, I started to learn as much as I possibly could about natural forms of healing and functional medicine. And a lot of these women were suffering from the same symptoms, but there was also an emotional and spiritual root to, excuse me, a lot of their symptoms. But they also didn't understand how their life leading up to menopause could have a direct impact on how their hormone balance and the symptoms they were experiencing were associated with that. So from there, I started educating them on how lifestyle has an enormous impact on their hormone balance. And stress, as I say, is at the root of all evil, so to speak.
Yeah.
It is the root cause of every health problem out there. But there is more to that. Understanding how the environment and their diet and what their day-to-day life was like. You know, genetics is only a small part of that, and it was kind of like, well, my mom really suffered through menopause, so I guess I'm going to too, and I'm just going to have to live with that. But they were miserable. So it was really trying to understand what could be done in a safe and effective manner to try to help them get through those symptoms.
Right.
And so the question was, you know, which hormones are out of balance and how do we bring those back into better balance? And in all the years that I've been doing this, if you don't address your lifestyle, no matter whether it's a prescription medication or a supplement or some other herbal remedy, you're only going to get so far with that. You really have to face the fact that stress and your eating habits and how the environment really plays a big role in your hormone balance and kind of sets you up for things. Yes, certainly the estrogen levels are dropping during before menopause, but your progesterone's falling way ahead of that. So what can happen then is you can have an estrogen dominance effect, even though both are going down, and that creates some of the symptoms of irregular bleeding and difficulty with sleeping and change in mood.
Now, let's back up a little bit, because how do you decide what your levels are? It's not like a dipstick you can stick in your mouth.
No. That's a good question. That's a good question. So there's different ways to test hormone balance. There's standard blood testing. That's the most common way that conventional practitioners are going to be checking your hormone levels. And that's looking at the bound and unbound hormones kind of clumped together. And oftentimes, I mean, you're not going to get a whole lot, I don't think, out of that. There's a lot of natural and functional practitioners that do use that method to look at your hormones. But it's kind of like, yep, that's where they're supposed to be at this time in your life. So, okay, now what do I do about it?
Yeah.
You know, what am I supposed to do? So they really don't have any clear-cut answers for them on that, or any way to individualize care. And everybody gets the same size, or everybody gets the same, couple of doses of, if you're going to use.
Let's try this and see how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
And or they'll give you an antidepressant that's been shown to help with hot flash symptoms. But the problem with that is, if you ever want to get off of that particular medication, it is very difficult to get off of it, and you have to wean off slowly,
and then it comes back with a force. A lot of times it just immediately, I immediately started having hot flashes again. So it's like, what was the point of that?
Right. And one medicine in particular can, in some women, actually raise their blood pressure. So it cannot be good for some of these women.
Right.
Another way to test your hormones is actually through saliva testing, and there's arguments that that isn't a sensitive enough test. I disagree. I've been doing saliva testing for years, and it's looking at the free active hormone, and that is what's impacting you. It's what is floating around in your body, not bound up to your cells, that's going to have a direct impact on how you're feeling. So I will often not just check their estrogen and progesterone levels, but I will also check their cortisol levels, which is really, really important. And I'm not just checking one cortisol level, I'm checking 5 throughout the day and night. And I can sit there and tell a woman, this is how you feel at this time of day, this time of day, this time of day. And I never hear, no, that's not how I feel. It's like, oh my God, yes, that's how I feel.
But how many other practitioners are doing it that way?
Really, it's a small, if you look in conventional healthcare, very few. Okay, very few. But if you look in natural and functional medicine, look at those practitioners. And functional medicine practitioners have been conventionally trained often, and they've gone on and got extra training in functional medicine. In fact, the Cleveland Clinic just opened in the past year the first functional medicine department, and they are growing so fast they can't keep up. And the argument conventionally is, how are we going to get paid? How are we going to get reimbursed for this? They're not having a problem.
Does insurance cover this?
They said that certain aspects they will cover, but there are a lot of the functional testing, such as saliva testing, it's rare to see that covered. So, I just tell people up front, it's, you're going to have to pay this out of your pocket. Insurance likely won't cover this. And women have already been multiple places by the time they come in. They've tried various things. They're not getting better. They're not getting answers. And they're ready. They've already spent who knows how much on all of this, and they still don't feel well. So just plop down, a very minimal amount, I think, to find that out is so validating for them that I knew I didn't feel well. I'm not going crazy. I'm not depressed. I'm depressed because nobody's listening to me.
And I'm in a bad mood all the time because I'm constantly hot and cold.
And then there's one other way of testing, and that is urine metabolites. So there is a more recent test out there that's probably more sensitive than either blood or saliva testing. I have not used that particular test, but that is available as well. So it was because of that my practice really, word of mouth, grew, where I am helping a ton of women, that are trying to get those answers and get better hormone balance. And, I walk them through that, but ultimately they have to walk out the door and make those changes. Which, kudos to them for doing that. It takes a lot of determination and courage. And once they start feeling better, they are very motivated that they do have the power and the control to change their life, not only hormonally, but a lot of times with their relationships with other people. And to stop being, a lot of times, a punching bag or somebody that just can't say no. Women have this tendency to not want to disappoint anybody and so forth. And so when you developed Pulcami, and I was already doing this in my day-to-day job, it was a perfect opportunity to develop Menopause Sisters and get the word out. And we'd love to have you follow us at menopaussisters.com. That's and also our Facebook group, Menopause Sisterhood. It's a way for us to communicate to you, some of the topics that we come across, also through our Blog Talk radio show as well. But I can't see everybody one-on-one around the world or wherever you happen to be, nor can Colleen, see everybody, that's interested in aromatherapy or healing touch. But those are topics that we can touch on that are concerns. How do I manage my symptoms?
What should I be asking my doctor? What's this checklist of when I go in? These are things I've been told from other medical practitioners that I should be asking for, and if they refuse to do this, then you're like, walk out the door, you know.
Right, then it's time to find somebody else. There are people out there that can help you.
Now we have one other menopause sister who's not present.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Angie, and Angie is I don't know if you call it a Reiki master.
Yeah,
is that the right word
she's
for it?
Reiki master.
Okay, so that's another form of energy work, and she's done it quite a bit with women in different stages of menopause, and stress is typically kind of the burden that people seem to be carrying around when they kind of reach out to her for some certain sessions, and so she'll be joining us on other shows in the future, but just didn't want to leave her out of the mix, and some of the other topics that we'll be talking about will be related to that type of energy work as well.
I think a lot of what we're working with is not only what Laura's doing and what you're doing or what I'm doing, but I think also the message we want to convey is how important it is for a woman to stop and take care of herself, for the caregiver to take care of themselves.
Right.
And that's very, very hard for women to do. We all see it every day. We all have coworkers or family members who are just run ragged with whatever the issues are in their lives, and you suggest to them, you know, maybe you just need to take a moment, do some breathing, relax, just, you know, sit down somewhere and sort of try and decompress, and they look at you like you're crazy. It's like, I can't possibly...
How could I do that?
I can't possibly do this. And the fact is, though, that eventually, not with everybody, but with a lot of people, I think it eventually catches up with you. And if you don't put the brakes on,
Right.
or learn how to find, you know, positive coping ways, eventually the brakes get put on for you. In the form of an illness or something else that happens in your life. So, you know, that's one of the things that I think we're, you know, really stressing is the importance of self-care and the importance of making the commitment to self-care and lifestyle changes, whatever that may be.
Right. And on some of the Facebook groups that we belong to and that belong to our group, it's very evident that women feel they have no other place to go to talk about this. And it's either because, and I felt this way initially first too, it's like, menopause, that means I'm getting old? No, I'm not old. Look at me. Do I look like I'm old? No. So I want to help educating women around, saying that menopause is a good thing, and it's another stage of life. So even just, was it Christiana Northrup's book that was talking about how in different cultures, women that reach that stage are held up in higher status levels socially, and I think this part of the U.S. culture, you know, has a very negative stigma against that.
Yeah, it's something to get through. It's something to tolerate. It's a sign that I'm getting older. I don't want to talk about it because, oh my gosh, then they'll know I'm old.
Right.
If I'm going through
I'm
menopause.
drying up.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm drying up. But a whole other perspective on that is what's called the crone. And the crone, by crone, I don't mean, you know, witchy old crone.
Crony, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a wise woman, a respected woman, a woman who has empowered herself and has found her power and her voice, and it's a very good thing to be that stage of your life.
And I think, kind of to your point too, when you're talking about the different levels going wacky, and once somebody realizes they can control that and fix that, then you're right, they take on this, I'm empowered now, okay, there's this relationship that I've just been putting up with, I'm going to get rid of that, and there's this thing going on at work, I'm going to take care of that, you know, and so people see these women as bitches at the time, but it's like, no, I'm finally speaking up for myself, you know, and unfortunately people misinterpret that as, wow, look out, she's on a rampage now.
She's hormonal.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that. You know, so we want to make you aware of the fact that you do have other options that aren't taking a pill or getting on some prescription, and we're going to share with you over different series that you can do this. Already on our website, menopausesisters.com, there's several radio shows that we've recorded on different topics. And so I think that would be a good place to start if you're trying to educate yourself about different stages of menopause and what you can do about it. And then we're going to share with you a couple of other episodes around that. But I think, yeah, I mean, just in this session, we just want to give people the sense that there are other alternatives, and there's other things that impact you, not because you're in menopause, but other things that in this stage of life, people start to take a look back to say, gee, you know, what if I had done this, or if I've been putting up with this, or you're compounding kids getting older, parents getting older, all these other things that are kind of boiling up within your lifestyle, and it's a critical kind of pivot point in a woman's life too, of taking one path or the other.
Right.
Right.
And the reason we know so much about this is because we're guilty of it.
Yeah.
We're
Exactly.
guilty of it. You know, we'll fess up here.
Yes.
We're all pretty, you know, we're hardworking, we're driven, and but you know, you've got parents that are aging, you've got kids that maybe you're still raising or trying to support. You know, everybody's got bills to pay, but we're all, you know, pretty focused. We just keep going, jumping over every hurdle that is put in front of us. But at some point, you're going to trip, you're going to fall, and you're going to crash and burn. And lo and behold, around menopause seems to be when that does happen. And you know, when I was going through grad school, I was, you know, holding down a full-time job. The kids were still at home. I was, you know, still, you know, grocery shopping and cleaning my house. And, you know, I didn't have a maid or, you know, a nanny or anything like that. And by the time I started practice as a nurse practitioner, I was so driven and working so many long hours that I did crash and burn hormonally. You know, my thyroid was going out of whack, my hormone balance was out of whack, I started having health issues, and it wasn't till I started learning through this journey with other women, I started helping myself in the process.
Well, and in my case, you know, I'm very driven too, and I was in a mixed blended family. I became the modern day Brady Bunch, so I've got 6 kids going like crazy, and then working a couple of different jobs. And then when you have this heavy flow, and you like have to make sure, where's the nearest bathroom? Am I packing enough? You know, like you said, you felt like you had to wear a diaper. It's like if you don't want to be standing up giving a professional presentation, all of a sudden you're like, and hold your legs tight together and walk out of the room because you're afraid of what might come out if you're not. So we're living everything that everybody we see talking about. You know, out of the 8 women in our family, I'm sure we've all experienced one version of other things, you know, and you had a hysterectomy, so you were put in, you know, rapid menopause, and so all of us have had some kind of voice in experience in that.
And I seriously crashed and burned health-wise several years ago. And I think a lot of it was because I'd had several years where I didn't handle teenage issues very well. By comparison, they were, you know, on retrospect, they were very mild compared to what a lot of people go through. But it wasn't for me at the time, and I had a very serious health issue. And from that, I learned it's like, and I, to this day, if I'm starting to stress out, I do a self-check. Wait a minute. What am I doing here? Because I personally know the serious consequences it can have on one's health. And just, you know, I have to put the brakes on. I've tried all different kinds of things, you know, when I'm in a very stressful situation, and to try and deal with it and cope with it better. It's a struggle. It's very difficult to do. I tend to ruminate on stuff and go over and over and talk about it and go over and over and over to the point where I'm sure people are like, gosh, will you just
go away? Stop talking.
Yes. Exactly. So, but anyway, so it's, you know, from personal experience, we've all had, or I for sure have had issues because I didn't deal with that stress and didn't take care of myself. And so I really push that and emphasize that with other people.
Well, and I forget what book I read years ago. It's like, what's the worst that can happen? And if you don't do this now, what's the worst that's going to happen? That's what you need to ask yourself. And it's like, well, so the dishes will sit in the sink another day. Who's going to see that? Yeah. It's like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Your house won't fall apart.
But it's a very difficult thing for women to do, and you just have to do that. You know, is somebody going to die because this didn't happen? you have to really,
Right.
like I said, stop and ask yourself those questions.
Right, exactly. And so, yeah, so in the upcoming shows, well, hopefully you'll learn from us. We welcome any comments on the videos that we're going to be posting and any suggestions for topics that you would like us to talk about. And so with that, I think we're going to close out this session. And so go to menopausetisters.com. You can subscribe to our email list, and then we'll constantly update you with any other upcoming shows. If you subscribe to this series on YouTube, then obviously you'll have access to the other videos that we post. So we'll sign off for now. So thanks for watching.